Hello children. In today's session, we are going to see about Genesis chapter 4. Before going into Genesis chapter 4, we shall see a quick recap of the previous session. In our last session, we saw how the first sin entered through the disobedience of Adam and Eve and the consequences of sin, which is suffering, right? We understood that sin leads us to death. Yes, in Genesis chapter 4, we are going to see about Cain and Abel, who were the sons of Adam and Eve. Hope you all would have read Genesis chapter 4 before coming for this class, right? Good. Adam and Eve was cursed by God due to their disobedience and sent out of the garden in chapter 3. After that, Adam and Eve started their life and lived together and gave birth to their first son named Cain. Eve was happy that God has blessed her with a son. Later, Eve gave birth to her second son and named him Abel. They both grew up and Cain became a farmer and Abel became a shepherd. Cain, being a farmer, offered some of his harvest to the Lord as offering, and Abel brought the first lamb born to one of his sheep and offered the best parts of it as offering to the Lord. Now, what happens here is God happily accepts Abel's offering but rejects Cain's offering. Why? In those days, these kind of offerings were made as an act of thanksgiving to God who had blessed them. If we have to offer something to a God as offering, shouldn't that be the first and the best of all we have? Yes, we always have to give our God the Creator the first place in everything we do. In that way, Abel gave his first lamb and the best parts of it to the Lord. And so, God was happy and accepted his offering. But God was not happy with Cain's offering because Cain, just for the sake of giving, offered some of his harvest and not his first or the best. This shows how grateful was Abel when compared to Cain. Now, what happened since Cain's offering was rejected? Cain became angry on God and Abel. God asked Cain, "Why are you angry?" and told him that if he had done the right thing, he would have been happy. What we can understand from this incident is that Cain was not having a good behavior from the beginning and failed to please God. Cain was filled with anger and jealousy towards his brother Abel and killed him. This was the first murder in the history of mankind, which gave birth to the second sin. When God asked Cain, "Where is your brother?" knowing that he killed him, Cain was so careless and not bothered, replied to God telling that, "Am I the keeper of my brother?" God became very angry and cursed Cain that he will no longer be able to farm the soil and the soil will not produce anything for him. Cain felt this was a very big punishment and pleaded to God. Though God was angry and punished Cain for his cruelty, God showed his mercy by putting a mark on him so that no one would kill him. Cain then went away from God's presence and moved to another land. So children, what do we understand from Cain and Abel's life? What is the lesson Genesis 4 teaches us? In last session, we saw about 7 types of sins mentioned in the Bible, isn't it? Out of which envy was one. Yes, Genesis chapter 4 tells us about the birth of sin called envy, which is nothing but jealousy, which was the reason for Cain's fall. The root of jealousy is hatred. Hatred and jealousy are not just mere feelings. They are very dangerous when it is let to be grown without awareness. If you take Cain's life, the hatred and jealous feeling he had against his brother took him to an extent of killing his brother, isn't it? So children, the sin called envy, that is jealousy, is a deadly sin. If we fall in its trap, we are sure to face suffering and death. If you look at it in depth, this feeling of jealousy does not grow all of a sudden. It is the small feelings of hatred and comparison which builds up slowly over a period of time to change over to a giant sin called jealousy. So, children, we have to be very careful in staying away from this sin. For example, among children of your age, sometimes you might feel jealous about your siblings or friends, right? What is that jealous feeling? It's like, how come she gets good marks but not I? How come he lives in a big house but not me? How come she gets success in all that she does? How come all people like him but not me? She looks beautiful but not me, and so on. So, if you look at it, jealousy comes with comparison. It comes when you compare what they have and what you don't have. That is, when you compare what others have and what you don't have. The feeling of not being content with what you have is the main reason for being jealous on others. So, to avoid the growth of jealousy in you, you have to first be content with what you have. We should stop comparing ourselves with others. We should always remember one thing: God always gives us the best only if we do our best. If you can take in Cain's and Abel's life, God accepted Abel's offering because he did right by offering the first and the best of his output. But Cain went wrong by not giving his best. Isn't it? He did not have heart to give his best to the Lord, so accordingly God judged them. For example, if your friend has got more marks than you, then she would have put more efforts than you in some way to get that success. So what you should do in that case is you should try to take her as an example and work more hard rather than getting jealous about their success. Also, we have to understand God has his own right time to bless everyone. Some good things which happens to your friends may happen to you sometime later in life too. You should not feel jealous thinking that he or she has got it now, but why not me? So children, we always have to be aware of our thinking. We should always accept what we have. And we should always try to do the best and right thing, and God will surely bless us with what we deserve. Comparing and getting envious about anything is only going to destroy you like how Cain destroyed himself. It is also said in Bible in James 3:16, for where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every wrong practice. If you look in depth in Genesis chapter 4, we can also interpret that the reason for hatred and jealousy which Cain had was also due to racial discrimination among them. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. Since Cain felt inferior to Abel, he might have developed that hatred towards Abel and hence he killed Abel. So it's a sin to show racial discrimination also. We should never see discrimination between religions, caste, colors, occupation, etc., which will bring divisions and hatred. So children, from today's session, we have to learn to say a big no to hatred, jealousy and discrimination. As Jesus has told in John chapter 13 verses 34 to 35, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples. So, you all are God's loving children, right? Yes. So, as Jesus loves us, we as his children should love all around us. You should love your siblings, friends, neighbors, and all others, irrespective of their caste, creed, or religion, or any differences. And you should always be of good help to others. You should never give space to the feeling of jealousy in your life. Okay, children? Let us take this message from today's session and implement it in our lives. Thank you and God bless you.